Okay, welcome to the review for Inferno. Let's take a look at a 360 and I'll talk about some of the body and what I think about it. So I just want to start off by saying this is probably going to go down as one of the greatest Generations figures Hasbro has made. I could be wrong, but this is definitely one of my favorite. I do have some issues with it. Some of them are ones that I don't hear about too often, and some of them are ones that I hear about a lot, but just seeing the 360 turn of this guy is so great and accurate. Outside of a couple things, he is pretty great to how he appeared in the TV show and stuff. They did take a few liberties because that's Generations. I mean, we are getting new designs for these characters and updates, so that is to be expected. But love the colors, love the sculpt, the detail. Look at that gorgeous head sculpt. The paint is a little bit shoddy on mine in some of the silver areas, and some silver bled through to the forehead there. But other than that, love this head sculpt so much. Great teal paint. Oh, and then that jaw articulation, which I'll talk about later on in the video, for when I talk about articulation, is very awesome as well. And there is light piping. It works okay, but only when you have like a lot of light behind it, so One thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about this figure when in terms of details is that the inside of the mouth is also painted and sculpted with like this line work with this bright red paint. Just such great attention to detail that I would expect from a figure from 10-15 years ago. And the light piping is a separate clear plastic piece to the rest of the head. The rest of the head is solid plastic, for those of you still wondering. I will note though, his hands do seem a little bit small compared to his animation. The toy, they're very small if you're comparing it to the toy, but to the show it's not terrible, but it is a little too small, but not too big of a deal for me at least. His wings spin! Yes, epic. And you can remove his gun to hold. And when you use that thruster piece as a gun, you're left with a slightly less cool thruster. It's just like a siege peg hole with some minor details on it. It's a okay redesign, I don't mind it, but not too big of a fan of it. I wish he came with his regular gun. Butt plug! And there are 4 peg holes, so you can plug in blast effects on each port if you want. And the details on both sides all around do look really nice. The translucent plastic feels good and durable, and it looks good. And there are 2 peg holes on each side, so you can plug in blast effects or whatever if you want. It is something, it's an option. He does look good holding it, but I did cave in and get a third-party kit on eBay. There is a peg hole on there for some ports, but it is a little bit loose. And in case if you are wondering, two-handing guns does look cool with him, because he did do this in the show at times. But the traditional way does look even better, and this is probably how I'm going to be displaying mine most of the time. A complaint I have is that the ant legs do seem a bit intrusive, and I wish they added extra steps to fold these up to make them a bit more show accurate, but you can remove that. It's on a mushroom peg, and you can do that, which looks pretty good. I wouldn't do it too often unless if you have 2 in case of stressing the mushroom port, but it is an option. But a big complaint I have with this figure is some stress marks. I am not one to manhandle my figures. I have figures from 15-20 years ago that I've transformed multiple times, and there are absolutely no stress marks. So I don't know what's going on with this. I don't think it's going to come up as a big issue, but there is one other stress mark during transformation that I'll show off. But as you can see, the 2 like ankle pivot parts have these little stress marks on them, so just be wary of that. Articulation time! There is a gap, kind of like Optimus Primal, but I don't think it's that big of a deal for me personally. I mean, these are robots. They're not going to have solidly filled in body parts like they're humans. There are weaponizer ports on his forearms and on the sides of his legs. Peep that different details of blue paint. There's a darker blue there at the bottom with the peg hole, and a more like brighter teal blue up there at the top of the thigh. Love that attention to detail. Let's do some transforming. Some more tasty details. Look at the panel work inside of his chest. They didn't even have to add that, but the fact that they did just, yes. Gerwalk mode! This is the other stress mark part that I want to talk about. Those hinges there, you could sort of see there is itsy bitsy little stress mark there. Just be wary of that. It's not as bad as the ankles, but still just be mindful. And here is his ant mode, and he looks like one of the better beast modes we've gotten since Kingdom, and I'm very pleased with how this came out. There's minimal like robot kibble hanging. There is some, I mean, you can't avoid it with these mainline releases, and even Masterpiece at times, but yeah, I'm digging the colors. There's some nice airbrush paint all around. Love the translucent blue eyes that are also a separate piece from the chest, which is, yes, more extra details, which is just amazing. They could have made the chest clear plastic, but they didn't, so I'm happy about that. Beast mode articulation time! Looking at the top of the sky, you can see there's some nice purple sort of airbrushing. It's like a metallic purple. Really nice. I really like that. And the underside, not much beast parts there, so let's not talk about that much longer. Here's a peg hole for you to peg in the gun because it can't fit in the butt part in beast mode, which I'm not too big of a fan of that, but not a deal breaker for me. And that wraps up my review for Transformers Legacy Voyager class Inferno. Like I said, this is probably one of my favorite Voyagers I've messed around with, probably one of my favorite Generations figures, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the fandom feels the same way, and this guy will go down as one of the greatest Generations figures that Hasbro has made, I'd say. Like I said, there are a few gripes, like the stress marks, and the ant legs are a bit annoying, and the hands do seem a bit too tiny, but I am grateful that they didn't sculpt it as one circular piece because he does have those claw details for his fingers, so I'm grateful for that. A lot of attention to detail and some nice paint work, especially down to the purple and that airbrush on the butt section of the ant mode. I really love the teal behind the thruster wing pieces and the different blue paint on those leg pieces. Just a fun figure to mess with. Love the colors. It feels like a Voyager we would get like 10-15 years ago with all the extra added pieces and some of the paint details that we've gotten. So yeah, I definitely recommend this guy to get him. The MSRP, I think it's worth it. Just be wary of those stress marks. That's like my biggest complaint about it. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching this stop motion review. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say in this video.
Congratulations, you have made it to the end of this video.